Y'all didn't hear that. Excuse me. I hope y'all did not hear that. I'm back for a little while, not a long while. Pull this back. Right back. Hey, man, car. I told y'all earlier I had lost my AirPod. I found it. I was sitting on it. Thank God for that. 'Cause y'all know Apple Care. They don't replace lost AirPods. Only damaged. Anyway, hello, good people. Happy late night. Night on the late. Turn this. Oh, man. Is heaven and hell? What do you think? Is heaven and hell? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Heaven said, don't worry about. Excuse me. She said, don't worry about her. She's fine. So here's the thing. I'm going to try to do this real quick and brief. I really am kind of tired. So I'm trying to say what I got to say before I start sounding super tired, right? I tapped in and started listening to um, Marcus, the interviewer, do damage control, or at least attempt to continue his journey of doing damage control with heaven. And on today's journey of attempt to do damage control, he's over there talking to heaven about the potential that she's being used because social media is calling it out, and he wanted to clarify. Okay, give me 1 second. I gotta do something real quick. All right, like that. Cool. I think that's good. Uh, 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 uh. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Welcome in or welcome back. Welcome to the live or welcome to the replay. It's heaven and hell. So, heaven did this interview with Marcus. She seemed very nervous. She seemed very anxious. And she blamed everything on herself. Now, the interviewer is on a damage control journey. That's what it seems like. And I believe, it's just my opinion, that he's more interested in making himself not look like the bad guy for turning a blind eye to the fact that this is a domestic situation where this not just lady, but very, very young lady, young enough to be like a child to him, only a year and some change older than his oldest daughter, is in a domestic situation that he is willing to turn the blind eye to for the sake of his bag. So that's the reason that I believe that he is on this damage control journey, more for himself and his image, less about trying to clarify and genuinely being concerned. Because I just don't think that he's genuine anyway, but that's a whole other thing. And so, because I believe that more than anything else, he cares about the money, he wants to get it without the people looking at him like the monster that I see him to be. So he went and interviewed Heaven in the absence of CJ, who supposedly went back to their apartment when I thought that these people were supposed to be unhoused. But anyway, so that he could talk to her without CJ being there, as if a controlling toxic abuser such as I said the A word, what CJ appears to be, would actually leave her alone for a night or any significant amount of time. Come on, those type of people are clingy AF. But anyway, the implication for the storyline is for they are intending for the viewers to believe that CJ went to their apartment and she's there by herself, because I guess, and another thing just occurred to me, as if, do they have an apartment? Because if they do, again, I thought this was for the unhoused and they're in the experiment to get it together. And then the other thing is, or is it that it's also CJ's damage control, because he felt some kind of way about people talking about them in the different ways that they did, including unrelated to what I just said, his bowl cut. Because he felt some kind of way because he had a bowl cut he did. So he went and found some cash from doing a scene and got faded. Anyway, so do they have an apartment or not? I don't know, because it seemed like they didn't. Now they do. I don't know. But anyway, Marcus is saying to Heaven that he's interviewing her without um CJ present, because the people felt like basically CJ's presence was influencing her. But the reality is CJ's absence was clearly influencing her, like her responses or whatever, right? Because in his presence, clearly she couldn't say what she wanted to say. Hell, she couldn't even straight up answer a question on her own way, to say that she doesn't like girls, because he is more so into the money, and the way he looked at her and started to respond, and then she kind of, well, for pay, changed her answer. So clearly she won't say what she really wants to say in his face, but she also won't say what she really wants to say in his absence, because let's be real, she knows that she's going to have to deal with him later. And the so-called interview that she just did was given line. You know how the actors do? They showed a little clip and the actor is saying what they got to say and then they forget and they be like, line. She kept looking up. She kept looking. I watched this thing. I just watched it a couple of times, and then certain parts of it, I ran it back multiple times. I was looking at her. I was looking at her body language. I was looking at her eyes. Her eyes were all over the place. And she kept like looking up, like think. She'll pause or she start to say something. So that's what it was given. It was given line. That's my point of view. And I think that in his absence, she's going to say whatever he already fed her in terms of the lines and the narrative that he already put out there. And in this case, it was, she basically was jealous because she didn't get it first. Like, crazy. But on this quest for damage control, um, the interviewer, as he interviewed her, there's a few things that I am questioning because as he was attempting to demonstrate that she isn't being used to go against the comment section, he says, um, and get her as he was asking questions and she was answering. This is the part that I question. He was in the room with her. Did he not feel the energy of her nervousness and her anxiety? She seemed very nervous and anxious, jittery. Now let's go to the biggest bomb drop. Did anybody else notice the bruises? Did anybody else notice her hand? Why does she have burns on her hand? Those are burns. And it's not old. It's like when a burn is in a couple of days past healing. Ever burn yourself? You know how it looks like as it heals? Like, say, for example, with the iron, as it goes through the stages of healing. That's what a burn looks like when it's not day one, but it's probably the next day or a couple of days after. It hasn't been very long, only a few days into the healing stages of a burn. That's what her hand looked like. If you didn't notice it, go over there back to that video if you saw it already and look at her, what from the camera as you're looking on, it appears to be her left hand, but you know how this camera flip things around. But one of her hands has marks on it, like a healing stages of a burn. And they are very dark, and there are multiple of them. I want to say it was like four of them, but it's like several lines across her hand. If that was just what was on her hand, I might even be like, who knows? Let's, you never know. Although it's difficult because there's clearly some use going on in that situation, but it doesn't stop there. She has like red marks and like bruising on her chest, and it makes me wonder, did she put makeup? Like, what is her face looking like? Does she have some sort of makeup on her face? Because if you look right underneath her neck, right centered, you can see marks. And then on the arm where the hand is burnt, there's a couple of marks, very like small. But here's the other thing, the big thing. On the other hand, I mean, not hand, I meant to say arm. On the other arm, there are marks, like bruises. The bruises that she has are like the kind you get that they call defensive wounds. That's where the marks are on her arms, defensive wounds, and of course, the burnt hand. And so while Mr. Man is in there attempting to do damage control, I wondered, why didn't he, if he actually cares, which I think is what he wants people to think, why didn't he ask her about the bruises? If you can clearly see them through watching a recorded video, then he could see them even more clearly standing in the same room with her, in addition to the other things, the nervousness and, stuff like that, um, talking to her. And I thought to myself, did I miss him asking her about those bruises? And I ran it back a couple of times, and I'm like, and I did. I ran it on fast speed the final time because I'm like, I didn't hear him ask her. I didn't hear him ask, how did you get those bruises? What happened to your hand? Normally, you would lead with that, just generally. But especially if you're doing an interview where you call yourself doing damage control. How did he? I can't even say he didn't notice it. It's the nature of the conversation that makes me think you can't not notice it, considering, like I said, the nature of the conversation. There's no way. And her hand is stuck out like a sore thumb. Literally, her whole damn hand. But he didn't say anything. What are we doing here? I get it. He wants to make money. I get it. He got people in the experiment, blah, 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 blah. But you can't be condoning DV. But keep in mind, shout out to Troy's World for asking me the question one day about Marcus that caused me to go and check. And I ended up seeing several charges that he previously acquired, and there was something that was related to he had a DV charge, basically, because they call it family something. I forget what it said on there, but it was basically DV, because one of the things on the site, anyway, basically, I don't want to go too far off track. Here's the thing: for somebody who has had a history like that, he might be the wrong one. Maybe that's why he turned a blind eye. And who knows what he does these days, because this is also a man who made a woman stay in his closet, right? So his daughters wouldn't know that she was there. So he probably doesn't care. He probably doesn't care. He more so care about the money. He looking at it like she's grown. Maybe. That's what he's looking at it like. But if that was his grown daughter, would he have the same point of view when she's so young? She's so young. She's still a teenager, 19. Mm-mm-mm. He asked her about, well, she said something about her grandma, and then he asked about the grandma and the spicy content and all the stuff, and basically that's not something she speaks about to her grandma with, but oh, has she seen it or whatever. All I gotta say is, if her grandma asked her a question, clearly your grandma was concerned. Is she gonna say how that conversation really went? No, no. And, the fact that her grandma was concerned tells you a lot. Her grandmother would know her and her mannerisms and things, not just the fact that it was blatantly abusive. What the way CJ was treating her that day, when he was putting a cup on her head, but also knowing her granddaughter and how she acts and all those other kind of things. Hopefully she will have a family member or a good friend or somebody that could help set her in the right direction and get her away from the likes of a CJ, because what he got going on is not right. And before I go off into that, I just want to say that basically, if you go over there and look at those different marks on that young lady, then if anybody had any doubts as to whether or not that uh guy is a Yusuf CJ, then that tells you everything that you need to know. And is he gonna ever, what was he expected to say, hell yes, I'll smack a itch? No, because most A users will never tell you they're a Yusuf. They don't even want to be seen that way, even though that's their nature. You see what happened in the conversation when the interviewer was working on some damage control and interviewing CJ again, saying, "Oh, they didn't see your early content." Nobody gives two F's about CJ's mental issues and upbringing when the conversation is about the fact that he has to keep his hands to himself. What he went through growing up is completely irrelevant when discussing him not keeping his hands to himself. What, even if he never touched her, the verbal a use is also bad, but it seems like it's coming at least two ways and probably more, because that's not the end of the options for types of a use. If he's gonna be, and statistics show that if they are verbally and physically abusive, then they're usually the other. There's another one too. They're usually that too. Yeah, actually abusive. That's usually they all go together. When the two are present, the third one is. It could be one or the other of the two sometimes. But the statistics show if those two together are present, then the third one is likely to also be present. And so here we are, some debating whether or not, um, you know, like what's the extent of their use, or whether physical is present. Because I think that's the damage control is to kind of demonstrate that's not what's happening. Excuse me, no a use and no physical a use. But the girl has marks on her. And apparently, however loud they were was so loud that where however far away Quita's room is, she heard it. And also that the guy went to Quita's room because he had concerns of people calling the police and him having to take that ride. And I thought to myself, if you and her argue, scream, yell at each other, and never touch each other, and call everything out of your name that you can think of, they're not going to put you in cuffs and make either one of you take a ride for that. So that was another slip of the tongue, if you ask me. I was sitting there thinking, clearly you touched her because you have concerns about being put in the clanker. Tell us that you touched her without telling us you touched her and agreeing to the loudness. And also, they're in the hood. They're in the hood. And in the hood, people argue all the damn time. They argue over stupid ish. Easy light going argument could turn into something real bad real fast. Arguing is something that is normal, and it's usually not going to make people call those boys. But putting your hands, as a man, putting your hands on a woman, and especially if she in there screaming for help, will make people call those boys. And when the boys come, they will take you. So while he was pretending like he knows how to walk away and keep his hands to himself, what he was saying didn't make sense because your concerns aren't warranted if things are the way you said they are. And I think that Marcus is very aware of that. So why would he just play the way he's playing, except if he doesn't care? Like, um, what do I mean? Playing, like listening to what he's saying with no type of, I mean, he gave him the advice that he gave him. I can't take him serious. But not like calling it out is what I'm trying to say. Not like calling it out. That it's obviously what it is. But he got it in him too. So, hell, same recognize same. So I'm sure that the interviewer can see it much better than we can without anything even being said. At least that's in his history. Even if he doesn't actually, even if the interviewer doesn't do anything like that anymore, he had it in him at some point. So therefore, I believe he would still be able to recognize it. But nonetheless, um, as I get ready to wrap this up, when it comes to that young lady, my biggest question is why didn't he ask her about those marks on her arms? And if he had put something on his site, he would have advertised it, I think. And I didn't hear him do that. So that just makes me think that he just want to say whatever and play it down to get people to kind of lighten up a little bit. Otherwise, he going to have to do some things. There will be some accountability, and then possibly he will lose money, and he knows that. But is it worth it? Is it worth it to turn a blind eye? And while that happens, for the sake of the fact that you can make money off of them, because the dude halfway show up like a P, and if he's a P, then he can also get her to do what he want her to do for as long as he wants her to do it. The P. All in all, it's all very wrong. Wrong is very wrong. And I don't I don't understand. And the biggest thing I don't understand is how you can be having a conversation like that. That's sort of an ongoing conversation, addressing things that people said and trying to clarify it or make it seem like it's better than what it is, and all the while never doing the most obvious thing, which is asking the young lady about the burns and the scars that I just cited. So, um, yeah, that's where we at with it. I don't know what's gonna happen with Heaven. She has her whole life ahead of her. She deserves so much better. I would love to know why she stays and why she's stuck. But I really hope that she runs like hell, never to be seen again, and starts over somewhere fresh and does really good for herself. She got potential. I just believe that she does. She has potential, but she has to see it and know it. Dropping out of high school for a mental case, and it's shocking that he's a Yusuf. He's clearly got mental issues going on, but it's not her responsibility to stay tied to him, nor is it her responsibility to take care of him, even if that means selling her little twat so that the two of them can eat. She shouldn't sell her twat anyway. But if she was gonna sell her twat, then keep the extra money for yourself. Why are you taking care of him off of that? And he can't even give you the most minimal, easiest thing that costs him nothing, which is respect. She out here doing that kind of thing, wearing her body and her appearance and everything down while dealing with a man that's treating her the way she doesn't deserve to be treated. And what she said that her father said, I don't know. I ain't really buying the story the way she telling it because it really doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't. They're down with you, but they okay with what you're doing. The conversation's going a little differently. That would be my guess and my expectation. But, you know, she has to see it for herself and want better for herself to understand that she actually does deserve better. She don't have to do this. She don't have to deal with him. She don't have to put up with him. And that you know, she can stop right now, get past this and have her whole life ahead of her. And I know she said that she got a goal of when she wants things to be different. But at the rate she's going, if she doesn't change or separate from away from CJ, that's not going to happen. But I just think that it's really sad to watch her go through what she's going through. She's so young, lost, misguided. There's potential. She can go back to school and do some other things and set her future in a whole different direction. And it'll be like these things have not happened. But anyway, I got more to say, but if you listen to my other two lives, you would know I was already doggone tired. I came on to do this, but since I've been talking, I'm just feeling more and more exhausted. So when I tell you about to go to sleep, I hope I feel like actually taking this off private. If not, it's gonna happen in the morning because I'm exhausted. So I'm done talking about them for now. I will be back. Um, you know, when you catch if you catch the replay or whatever, well, I was gonna say something about the pictures, but you know what, I don't have to. You could just go look at the video and see for yourself, and you'll see the the bruises and the burn marks on her hand. You could see for yourself. You don't even have to take my word for it. That's your receipts. So with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the likes. I appreciate the support very much so. Want to say thank you for that. And no matter how small or how big, I'm still growing. I'll get there. I'm patient. I'm understanding. Two is enough for me to go on and do what I got to do as far as saying that and getting that out. Let me know what you think. If you see something different, if you feel like the scars were something else, do you think her hand, to me, it looks like a healing burn. Does it look like something else to you? Let me know. But either way it goes, like even with her hand, do you think that it was, ooh, she may have just burned her hand, or you think something else happened? And even those bruises that's on her arm, they look like defense wounds. But I love to know what y'all think about that as well. So I'll see y'all in the excuse me. I'll see y'all in the comment section. But let me get out of here before I mess around a bit and fell asleep on this thing. So y'all already know I'm gonna catch y'all on the rebound. Wishing y'all all the best. Hope that you sleep very well. And with that being said, I'm gonna catch y'all next time. Peace.